I never believed a single evening could unravel 2 decades of love, loyalty, and shared history. But life has a way of hitting you hardest when you least expect it. Emma and I had been together since we were in our early 20s. We created a life full of laughter, cherished moments, and dreams built side by side. From buying our first house to raising 2 incredible kids, we stood united through every challenge, or so I believed. Emma was always the more spontaneous one between us. She craved novelty, thrived on meeting new people, and was constantly seeking the thrill of the unfamiliar. I, on the other hand, found comfort in predictability and order. Her sense of adventure was something I deeply admired, one of the many reasons I fell in love with her. But sometimes, what you love most can also be what destroys you, especially when sparks turn into wildfires. In the early days of our marriage, there was a light-hearted joke between us, the hall pass. It was the kind of playful talk young couples indulge in. "Just one free night," she teased once, her eyes gleaming. "But only if it's Idris Elba." I'd laughed, brushing it off as harmless flirtation. After all, wasn't trust the very foundation of everything we'd built? But those words spoken in jest, would come back to haunt me. A few months ago, I began to notice something shifting in Emma. At first, it was subtle: longer work hours, more outings with friends, and an unfamiliar protectiveness over her phone. I didn't think much of it initially. We both had busy lives. But small things kept piling up. A sudden interest in fitness. A wardrobe makeover. A glow in her demeanor that didn't seem to have anything to do with our home life. One evening, as we were half watching something on TV, she casually mentioned a coworker's birthday celebration. "It's just a few drinks after work," she said, eyes still on her screen. "Nothing special. I won't be out late." Her voice was calm, but her refusal to meet my eyes made something inside me tighten. I nodded, managing a smile, though unease stirred deep in my gut. The night of the party, Emma looked breathtaking. She wore a sleek black dress I hadn't seen in years, hugging her frame just right. Her heels clicked with purpose, and her perfume lingered in the air long after she'd left the room. She looked like the woman I had fallen in love with, but something in her expression felt distant, like she was dressing up for someone else. "You look incredible," I said, trying to hide my discomfort. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. "Thanks," she replied, slipping her purse over her shoulder. "Don't wait up." I stayed up anyway. Each hour that passed, I sat there in the dim light of the living room, the TV buzzing in the background while my mind churned. Just after 10 p.m., my phone vibrated. "Emma, having a great time. Don't worry. Love you." It should have comforted me, but it felt rehearsed, like a line she knew she had to send, not something that came from the heart. Midnight came and went. Still no sign of her. I called once. No answer. Twice. Straight to voicemail. A third time, nothing. My thoughts grew louder. Maybe she lost track of time. Maybe her battery died. Maybe. But the darker possibilities clawed their way to the surface, no matter how hard I pushed them down. When she finally walked through the front door around 1:30 a.m., I was still awake. She looked flushed, hair tousled, her eyes dancing with a kind of energy I hadn't seen in a long time. "You're still up?" she asked, clearly surprised. I gave a short nod, trying to keep my voice even. "How was the party?" She paused for a second, just long enough to notice, before answering. "It was fun. The usual stuff, bad karaoke, boring office chatter." She kissed my cheek and walked upstairs without another word, leaving me in the silence, doubts swelling like an incoming storm. In the weeks that followed, she seemed lighter. Happier, even. But I wasn't part of that joy. She was distant, mentally elsewhere, constantly glued to her phone, often working late. One evening, as she showered, I sat on the edge of the bed, eyes fixed on her phone lying just inches away. I hated myself for even thinking about it. But the weight of suspicion had become too much. With trembling fingers, I unlocked it using the code I'd known for years. My chest tightened as I opened her messages. There it was, a conversation thread with someone named Adam. My pulse quickened. The messages were full of flirtation, private jokes, late-night exchanges, and then one line that shattered everything. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to do it again." The air seemed to vanish from the room. I felt as if the floor beneath me had given out, the world tilting under the weight of betrayal. My hands shook as I locked the phone and set it back exactly where I'd found it. I sat there in silence, surrounded by darkness, waiting for the sound of running water to stop. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe. I just had to face her. When Emma stepped out of the bathroom, her skin glowed from the steam, damp hair clinging softly to her shoulders. Her robe was loosely tied. She looked calm, like someone who hadn't just shattered the heart of the man waiting on the edge of their shared bed. I sat frozen, my pulse thundering in my ears, Emma's phone still clutched in my shaking hand. The moment she saw me, her smile disappeared. "Is everything all right?" she asked, her tone hesitant, sensing something was wrong. I steadied myself, inhaling slowly, trying to control the tremble in my fingers as I held up her phone. "Who's Adam?" I asked, my voice calm but edged with restrained hurt. Her face drained of color. For a moment, she said nothing, the silence stretching endlessly between us, heavy and suffocating. Each second that passed felt like another blade twisting in my chest. Finally, she whispered, "It's not what you think, Ben." A sharp, bitter laugh escaped me as I shook my head. "Not what I think. So, last night was amazing, means something else now? Don't insult me." Emma sat down on the edge of the bed, wringing her hands tightly, her posture riddled with shame. "It was a mistake," she said quietly. "It happened once. It didn't mean anything." Her words crashed into me like a wrecking ball. The woman I had trusted with my soul, the person I had built a life and a family with, was sitting before me, admitting to something I never imagined she could do. "A mistake." My voice rose despite my best efforts to keep it even. "We've been married for 20 years, Emma. We raised children. We built everything together. And you risked all of it, for this." Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't tell if they were from guilt, remorse, or something else entirely. "We talked about this, remember," she said, her voice shaking. "Years ago, the joke about a free pass. I thought," she faltered, shaking her head slowly, "I thought maybe it was harmless. That it wouldn't hurt you." Her words cut deeper than I thought possible. "You thought I wouldn't be hurt?" I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of sorrow and rage. "How could you possibly believe that? How could you think I'd be okay with this?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled back instinctively. "I'm sorry, Ben. I swear, I wasn't thinking clearly. It was stupid and reckless. I don't even know why I stood and began pacing the room, trying to make sense of everything that had just shattered around me. "Who is he?" I asked at last, needing to hear it. She nodded, eyes fixed on the floor. "He works with me. But it's over. It didn't mean anything. I ended it. Please, Ben, can we move forward from this?" Her voice cracked. She looked at me, eyes pleading, but I had no words to give her. That night, sleep never came. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling as memories of our life together replayed endlessly. The vows we made, the moments we shared, the dreams we once nurtured. Then came the image of those messages. Of Adam. And with them, the realization that something vital between us had broken beyond repair. The next morning, I left before she woke. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay. I needed space. Clarity. I drove aimlessly before ending up at Mark's place, my closest friend, someone I could still count on. He opened the door, rubbing his eyes, concern instantly replacing his grogginess when he saw my face. "Ben, what happened?" he asked, stepping aside. I collapsed onto his couch, still numb, and told him everything. He listened quietly as the truth spilled out of me. His expression shifted, disbelief giving way to fury, then compassion. "Jesus, man. I'm so sorry," he said once I finished. "I can't even imagine what that feels like." I nodded, my gaze locked on the floor. "I love her, Mark. But I don't know how to move past this. I don't think I can." Mark leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "That's something only you can answer. But whatever happens, I've got your back. You're not alone in this." The following days were a blur of silence and avoidance. Emma left notes, sent messages, tried to talk, but I couldn't bring myself to engage. Every time I looked at her, All I saw was betrayal. After a week of unbearable distance, I finally sat her down. "I can't do this," I said, my voice breaking. "Every time I look at you, I see him. I can't pretend to trust you again. It's gone." She cried, begged, pleaded, but I had already crossed the threshold of no return. "You made your decision," I told her. "Now I have to make mine." The divorce that followed was grueling, emotionally, financially, mentally. 20 years of shared life reduced to a series of items, signatures, and legal terms. It felt like being dismantled piece by piece. But strangely, it also brought clarity. Staying would have meant living in the shadow of that night, of what she did and how it changed everything. And I wasn't willing to let that define the rest of my life. I knew I deserved more than that. In the months that followed, I focused on healing. I leaned on the people who still stood by me. I rediscovered passions I had buried under the weight of routine. I learned how to breathe again without bitterness choking me. Emma's betrayal didn't vanish from my mind, but over time, its hold on me weakened. I let go of the rage and sorrow, not to forgive her, but to free myself. And when I finally stepped out of the ruins, I understood something vital. Sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do isn't staying. It's walking away.